Hey everybody, welcome to GLUSTIX and Chill event number 2. I'm just going to Bob Ross through this tonight and keep going where we left off. If you were with us on Sunday night, I had my friend DM Scotty and another friend Kemper, aka Megamoo, in the mix. And we spent some time chatting, talking about the hobby. And I started painting these figures here. Thanks for taking a look. Experimented a little bit with this, and it got super blotchy on me. I guess it's an ink blot now. But this is a wet palette. There are many videos on YouTube about how to create and make your own wet palette. The thought with these is that by using a wet palette, excuse me, you can save your paints from drying out so fast. So when you're mixing them on the fly, they last a little longer. But this one seemed maybe almost a little too wet. I'm not sure. But we'll make do and we'll make it work tonight. Kind of blot this a little more. We'll start over in a fresh corner here. Okay. You want to get so it's a little bit wet, but I think it got almost too wet last time where it started bleeding into itself. I'm glad to have you with me. Probably spend about an hour here plugging away at these bad boys. We've got 5, as far as I got last time, of these particular bandit type characters. Got a whole bunch more. This whole piece of cardboard you see here is actually my 3D printer. Created these with files from Thingiverse and a couple other spots, some skeletons from Fat Dragon Games. And this is just a way that I can do all of these at once, having them all in front of me. A couple of these I won't use for the campaign I'm running, but I thought I'd keep it here. I'm also going to share this on Facebook so that if anybody wants to join in, live streaming now. Join in the chat. Share. We'll see. Okay, back to the painting here. Kind of ended up with a maroon. Actually, that's kind of funny. I think I'm wearing almost the exact same shade unintentionally. Happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say, as these particular figures. If you saw on the last one a few days ago, got a really good shake by using my jigsaw. With this thing hooked up on it, which, what did I put in here? Oh, Smart Nathan decided to put a screwdriver, so the next time I need to hook this paint shaker up to my jigsaw, it has the right little screwdriver already inside of there. But sometimes Smart Nathan and not so Smart Nathan are at odds with each other. I try and get too smart, which turns me into not so Smart Nathan. Plop. You know, I was going to get going on some other colors with these, but I'm having too much fun. I think I'm going to keep plugging away and getting all these the right colored coat. And you can tell from the red stain on this brush that this was what I was using last when I was working on this. Needs a little more red. Mix this in. You can't quite see there. So just got a glob of red over here, glob of black. Try and mix them together here to get a similar consistency. It is fantasy, which covers a multitude of goofs. You can use that as an excuse for just about anything. I like this shade okay that I've gotten here. Hopefully it has just the right mix of water. Try not to bump the camera too much. Go ahead. Get a little loaded up on the brush. Oop. Before I do that, I should double check there's no wispies or other stuff that I want to go ahead and trim off of this bad boy. This you won't really see, but might paint a little weird, the underside of this sword. These things, I'll tell you, some of them are trickier than others, but by the time you print 10 of them, you sort of get the hang of it. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now, I couldn't really see the detailed definition when I printed these out, so I decided I would just sort of make it into some tracksuit looking things. Maybe these are like fantasy mafia guys wearing their tracksuits. Started listening to an audiobook this week called Life in a Medieval City, which first hearing that, you think, well, so what? Well, there's a big difference back then between a city and a village. Most people at that time would have lived in a village, agriculture of some sorts. But as Europe, pre-Black Plague, was growing, you had certain epicenters of commerce, trade. Right now, they're talking all about guilds and the importance of that, the support that you would have, and also the fairly stringent rules for joining a guild. Okay. And I'm fairly new to painting minis, so I thought I would not spend a fortune on fancy schmancy paints. So these are just cheapo acrylic, but what I found has made these things look pretty great are the steps. If you go to the last GLUSTIX and Chill, where DM Scotty was on there, he talked about table ready as sort of a standard for your miniatures. And my retelling, or what I learned, this was on a late phone call one night, and I was saying, I really want to make some minis and print them and paint them, but I don't even know where to start with these. He talked about table ready. The idea being, you paint them. Well, actually, first you prime them. Prime them because the paint, some even to cheap $1 rattle can, black, gray, white, whatever your base coat needs to be, spray paint. One will help smooth out the lines just a little bit from your 3D printer. Two, this paint adheres a lot better when you've got a base coat and not the PLA that my 3D printer uses. So your paint sticks a little better. So prime it, paint it as best you can. I don't bother doing eyes. I just sort of go ahead and put either a shadow or I take like a pin and just make a dark spot where the eyes would be. I find that's actually a lot more realistic than these looks like googly eyes at this scale, at least for most people. I suppose if you got a super steady hand, some folks are able to make some decent looking eyes. but not this guy. But going back to table ready, the other thing is, this isn't to win a model competition or something. This is just to have for characters that very likely will be killed by the player characters in one session. So what's the point of doing 10 hours of work on a figure that will be on the table all of 10 minutes? At least that's like my opinion, man. So I don't stress it too much, some of those finer details. So the steps: prime it, paint it, base coat or gloss it, and after you've thrown some gloss on there, it will then be ready to put some wash on. The wash, which I'll do in one of these episodes, you do by taking some oil paint, mineral spirits, mixing them up, and then just kind of dab it on, and it fills in the crevices that would likely be sort of the shadow areas of the figure. Speaking of shadows, one of my favorite quotes of Shakespeare, I'll have to paraphrase because I don't have it memorized, comes from King Lear. And Lear says to his court, who can tell me, does this look like Lear? He's talking in the first person. He's lethargic. His bearing, all this stuff, does this seem like Lear? Who can tell me? And the fool says, or he says, what do you see when you look at me? And the fool says, Lear's shadow. So eventually you get to where you do your shading with a wash. And I found a pretty affordable way to do it is by grabbing a cheapo set of oil paints, the little sample size, little small tube ones. And when I get to it, I'll make sure I put a link to the video I saw where I kind of learned about the technique, but it was pretty genius in my limited intellect, experience, and opinion. The use of oil paints. Oop, got a little darker than I wanted here. That's okay, because got plenty of red here to lighten it up. Lightening up. It works in life, and it works in painting. Can be hard to do, though. Mix this in. I'm trying really hard not to get the black paint to glob into this. So kind of move this in, I suppose. As of recording, or as of this broadcast, there is a documentary that is being made by a friend of the channel, Pat Kilbin, who I did an interview with, I think it was a year ago, for Brigade Con. We talked about history of D&D and some of the work that he'd been doing for this documentary. It's called The Dreams in Gary's Basement, about Gary Gygax. And you can back it on Kickstarter. It's already hit its goal, but if you want a copy of it, I think the digital download goal is only like $20. Doggone it, I keep forgetting to clean up the little wispies, as DMG would call them. Little stringies. That's one of the other benefits you get from throwing on some primer, is these things stick out and you can spot them easier. There's also a file. This little set of Amazon files I got. Maybe $7 or something. These can kind of help you catch those wispies and just grind them off real easy. There we go. You don't want to grind off too much of the base coat either. Clean up the sword a little bit. If I can get in the right angle, might have to take it off my pill bottle. That'll work. I can live with that. This one's not too bad. Back to painting. Oh, nice maroon coat. Looking consistent. A little bit on the boots, but I don't really care because I'm starting with the area that's covering the majority of the figure. And then from there I can get a little more precise. When this takes up so much of it, you can get a little sloppier. I'm not super concerned. Thinking I'll do some European flesh tone for the hands and face. Some maybe darker brown for the boots. A pewter for the sword. And base coat, or the base. I already did a base coat. The base, I'm not sure what I'll do yet. They're a little more city type, so maybe it would just be more of a plain old dirt sand sort of texture I'll throw on there. That'd be easy enough. You just use sand. But this is a lot of fun. This is a hobby that has consumed much of my thoughts, energy, and time for a number of years. And for the most part, the vast majority, that's been a really good thing. Everybody needs a hobby. Kemper and I were talking about whether this hobby is considered a sport. And I said, it was the first time when on this last live broadcast, I thought, I really do think it is a sport. I never really considered it that way. So then I looked up on the Oxford Dictionary website. Well, what is considered a sport? And there's some debate. Some people say, well, it's got to be something that's a physical exertion. So chess, isn't a sport. Well, if you go to the root of the word sport, it comes from an older English word, disport, which has a lot more to do with fun and recreation than it does physical exertion. So really, your sport is what you do for sport, for fun, for entertainment. Although I would say, as I thought more, when my brain needed a little mental vacation to my hobby place, hobbying is different than the sport aspect. This, to me, is hobbying. Having a group of players around the table is the sport. Well, the argument could be made this is more preparation, like maybe a coach or a referee would. But I don't have to be doing this. Ultimately, you just need some dice and some friends around the table, and you can be playing the sport of role-playing games. Looking good. These figures, I'm fairly certain, were made from a website called Desktop Hero 3D. This sword is hurting unit right there. So I am going to put yet another glob of super glue on here, hoping that it doesn't snap off. There's another trick, but I don't know where my baking soda is in close vicinity. But another trick you can do is sprinkle on a little baking soda to where the super glue is, and it almost makes an instant hard plastic sort of seal coat whatever you want to call it on there. So I just got to steer clear of that super glue while I'm painting this. So don't get this brush too messed up. Pretty wispy free. Got to remember to, I'm sure on my, got 2 more to base coat or to do a base paint on. I'm sure by one of them I'll remember. Or when it's too late. All right, clean him up a little bit. Just a few wispies. Yeah, once you start printing these, one of the nice things of kind of making a small army, even if for a one-time encounter in your campaign, is then you've got them. Example, this is from the starter set Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign. Oop, got super glue on my, oop, there you go. There's the skin. Youch! There's a lot of goblins at the beginning. Goblin ambush, I think, is the first sort of real encounter. And I probably printed about 10 of them, a couple different styles. Some with swords, some with bows. One I kind of made the leader, and actually in Cura, the slicer software for the 3D printer, even made him maybe 10% taller or a little bigger, I would imagine, in goblin culture. The biggest, strongest is the one that calls the shots. And it was a pain and a hassle to do all those, but you get in a good groove when you're sort of assembly lining a bunch of 3D prints. And you start to learn, oh, I shouldn't snap off the rafters this way, I should do it this way. And that helps you out. Just the tiniest little pinch of black. Darken it up. See, I'm getting better at this. A little more red. And finally, I mixed up my reds with this, but that's okay. It's mostly the black once that one hits it, which it probably will soon. But I'll have coated these the color I want by then. This kind of starts bleeding in, but I'm getting better at this. David Bowie said, aging is the extraordinary process of becoming who you always should have been. And I definitely believe that. As we get older, we'll hopefully, ideally, and there are those that choose not to, but if we're trying, we're seeking and searching, learning, and have the humility to admit we don't know it all, we learn some new tricks, we get better at things, and we look back. I look back at myself and think, you know, who I am this year is my favorite version of me. A little chunk of something in here. Maybe super glue. Yep. Did. I think I bumped the super glue. There goes that brush. Let's see what I can get out of here for gunk. Bummer. Let's see. Maybe, well, that was on the other model, wasn't it? The super glue, or was it this one? No, it was this one. Well, whatever. That's okay. These weren't like the nice fine tip ones. These ones I think were from Hobby Lobby, set of 3 right here. And they were not super impressive in terms of precision. So I think it was from Michael's. Yeah, Craft Smart. That's Michael's brand. These are the really fine ones. Value pack. Variety set. And that's what I'll do for some of the, probably the faces and some of the other little details. But now I'm learning, be careful when you get close to something you super glued on the fly. Best option is to have it all super glued way ahead of time. Don't get stingy on it, so you don't have to deal with it like I am right now in the middle of this. Okay, now we got a decent looking brush again. Load it up, throw on a little maroon. This channel is a outlet, is a cool space for me to share my hobby. One of the things I came across, this was actually in a model railroading book. I kind of had this credo of how to think instead of negative way. This is way before there was really anything published on it. Growth mindset, which is all the hotness right now. But it talked about, instead of thinking about, oh, this hobby's too expensive for me, you think, you know what? I'll do the best I can with the tools I have, with the skills I have right now. I went into film school by trade, and I took a screenwriting class and a very pivotal thinking philosophy that hit me. This teacher said, fairly grizzled elder statesman of his profession, said, at the end of this semester, you're turning in the best screenplay you can for who you are right now, for what you know right now. And that made a big impact on me and my thinking. I'm going to check on the microphone here because I want to make sure I'm on the headset mic, which I'm pretty sure I am. But I'll try and confirm that here. I gotta tell you, I am not a huge fan of some of the settings they did with YouTube upgrades. I'm not sure exactly how they have all this set up. It's low cray cray. Maybe it's in my system preferences. I can look at this. Oh, here we go. That muted me. That's the share button. That's not what I'm looking for. Settings. No, I don't want to leave. Come on now, YouTube. Participants. Not a lot of options with this. Yikes. All right, let's see what I can do here. There's my channel. My videos. There I see me live now. There I hear me live now. Pretty decent. Okay. Good enough. Close enough for jazz. Oh, there it goes. See that? The black while I was yammering on here started getting mixed up with the red. But what I can do is just tiny little dab. Start kind of a new section over here. If I can get her to lie flat. I'm not sure. That's okay though. Parchment paper's fairly inexpensive. This channel has the budget for some parchment paper. All right, load it up again. Actually, this one I was pretty close on. Probably don't need to monkey with it too much more. Hit a couple more spots. Let it dry up. Try not to hit the super glue. ruin the brush. And call that good enough. Next one. I'm going to need some more red, I think, in a minute. I'm going to use my tall pill bottle. This one's a little easier to grip. About 30 minutes in, I figured I'd go for about an hour here yakking on, working on stuff. And I thought as long as I do it, I'll leave it up for a chat. So either folks can join in live now. That's going to be too much. That's okay, though. Or I can maybe watch it later. I don't know. My dream for this would be at some point, maybe get a consistent time and people say, hey, I can work on my stuff too. I'll throw this on, maybe hop into the chat, listen to some rando thoughts. But I think I'm going to, again, go with the Hangouts on air. This is with the new YouTube beta. See, forgot to get the wispies again. I've only got one more chance to do it. If I don't, oh well. Not too bad on this one. I did try and clean it up ahead of time. Get this guy coated up. Bandit tracksuit. This is a Red Brand Ruffian, as they're named in the starter set Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure. Speaking of 3D prints and the Fat Dragon Games 3D prints, which are flippin' awesome because they don't require any rafters when you print those Mammer Jammers. So you just hit print and it just does it. You don't have to do hardly any cleanup after, which is sweet. He has a channel called, I believe, the Tome of 3D Printed something, 3D Printed Horrors, maybe. And I'm really looking forward to watching it. He did a episode that dropped today that talks about his secret recipe for printing minis, Cura settings, and all those things. It's definitely some trial and error, and I've learned a few tricks, but even with some of those first prints, there's a lot of stuff I do different, settings and otherwise, but it works. Again, for something that shows up on the table for 10 minutes, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for 9 cents worth of plastic to spend 10 hours stressing out and freaking out about some of the tiny little details. For a game that's contingent on the roll of the die. I think sometimes people overthink it. My friend Michael, who was one of the first players in Gary Gygax's world of Greyhawk, said once to me, when did sitting around with your friends pretending to be elves get so damn serious? And for the most part, I only associate with gamers that have a sense of humor, that are there to have fun, that realize it is supposed to be something to help you unwind. Smart Nathan is checking this right now for wispies. Oh, sorry, kept bumping the camera. Wispies are back here. This one's not too bad. Well, and actually, this one is probably one of the worst ones. Throw that in there. This guy, I can tell I've had to super glue a few times to keep his sword on correctly. Try the file. Get some of this crud to sort of fall off. Whoop. Hello. Poster tack finally gave out. There we go. It's way too small to see on here, but I can see some little wispies dropping as I file a little bit on here. Again, though, for 9 cents and as many as I want to print, it is fantastic. Crafter's Tavern number 3. Not that I was counting, but I was a guest. This would have been 5 years ago with DM Scotty, AJ, and DMG at the time were the hosts. And on that episode, I remember talking about how 3D printing, man, one of these days, that's going to be how people will make their minis. And I was thinking about this. Once you get multicolor filament and you don't even have to paint anymore, that is going to be a real game changer. Pun intended. Close. If I don't have to mix up any more paint, that'll be nice. I'll have just enough. I think it won't quite make it. We'll see. Go, 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 go. Mix in a little more. Yeah. Oop. Do a little drop. Just like one drop is all I need. That's too much. Just a little bit. There we go. And I can probably even just blend that right in on this parchment. Tiny little dab of black to darken it. Trying to tell as these things darken. I think I've got a pretty consistent color going on. Here we go. There we go. Back at it. So my game is not this Thursday, the next Thursday. And on one of my more recent videos, big old maps for D&D, you can see the map of the city of Phandalin that I made. And that's where they'll be hanging out for most of the adventure, but there's chance for an encounter with 4 of these bandits. And later on, there's a bunch more at a hideout. Tyler, if you're listening, turn it off. Come on now. And might as well get a bunch of them done. And I don't think we're meeting in November because the 4th Thursday in November here in the States is Thanksgiving. And I've got family stuff to do. And most people, I hope, do. Although if I didn't, playing D&D with friends would be a good way to spend the holiday. Okay, he's maybe a little more red, but whatever. Okay, now I got to decide what I'm going to do next. This parchment's certainly seen better days. What do we want to do? Should we do boots or the face? Do boots. I'm not going to do my fancy paint shaker. We'll do it the manual way here. This is brown, but I feel like I'll need a touch of brown sugar, or maybe I should give it a different tint. Maybe I'll mix in some gray with it. A light gray. That's dark gray. Can't see. Well, you can kind of see my box here. Gray. Come on, we got light gray. No, silver. Dark gray. How much dark gray do I have in here? Gray. Maybe I don't have a light gray. That's okay. I'll just go with gray. Dark gray. I'll use up this. This is one I'd been. It's more gone in this one. Did a lot more terrain in the past. If you've seen any of my Pathfinder build vids, you know that. Try a little different tip brush. Again, for the little junkers from the Hobby Lobby 3-pack. Premium round paintbrushes, my butt. You've got, at least where I am, Joanne, Hobby Lobby, and Michael's. You have 3 places you can stop at to get a lot of your craft supplies. Hobby Lobby is stingy on the coupons. They don't take competitor coupons because everything's on sale, sort of. I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to one more drop. I'm going to try and do a one-shot of how much this paint I'm going to actually use. Gray, shake it up, put it over here. Oh, way over here. Ooh, this stuff should have gone on the paint shaker. That's okay. I might even need to add some water if I want to use this for anything later. See, that's kind of like a little dried out. It's okay. I'll mix in my gray here. Yeah, that's what I like. A little lighter brown, but not quite the brown sugar color. That's a good leathery color. I like that. You can see the little glob of gray not quite mixing in there. This will make a nice bunch of it for me. Okay. Clean her up on the paper towel a little bit. Dude 1. Rogue 1. Try and keep this off the base. Just got to take my time, I think. Yeah, already this is looking more like I'm a real character. I'm a real miniature. Once we have more than one tone. Nice. It's been a while since I did my first big batch of these. I suppose I should try and do it on my little grippy thingy. So that figures don't fudge up any of the stuff I'm trying to do here. I'll put it on pretty thick, but it's okay. Helps fill in some of those lines, I think, from the printing layers. Nice boots. You can already see there. One boot done. Creaking, this is my ping pong table that has yet to facilitate a game of ping pong in the 2.5 years I've had it. But many grown men and women have and adolescent and younger have pretended to be elves and dwarves and adventurers at this table, though, which is kind of funny to me because I'm one of them. Okay, a little snappy here on the boot. Wasn't really paying attention before because I was looking for wispies in other areas. Snap. Hi, viewer. I'm just painting some boots right now. What are you up to? All right. You can see as he's dry, you can kind of spot little sections you miss and all that, but doesn't have to be perfect, especially not for 3 hit point characters or whatever these jabronis are. I've got 10 of these all together. And the math I kind of do when I look at these is like, okay, what's the most possible that could show up at once in general? And then I figure if it's overkill, I've got a bunch, then I've got a bunch of these figures ready to go. So that's okay. All right, this set of boots is probably about where I want them. Next guy. Kind of looks funny with the gloss on it. Sort of looks like little rain boots or something. Little cute bandit rain boots. But they'll dry up and look like the chalky craft paint they are soon enough. Don't you worry. This is heresy to some that I would just use cheap Walmart or craft store acrylic paints. But you know what? I'm still learning, so I really didn't want to spend a small fortune on paints. Man, I'm sloppy on this one. Take my time. I think I need a better camera angle for the next one of these to do, so I can actually see what I'm painting. Or maybe if I do it like this, all you kind of see is my hands. There's another boot. Close. There's some red going right over it. Don't think you'll even see it, which is good. I got a little messy there. Maybe I'll try and use this one. I'd have had the red on and clean it up a little bit. Or apparently just streak it more. Oh, that helps a little bit. Whatever. Basing, I can make sure that I get stuff in the right spot. Cover it up anyhow. There's 3 boots out of the 20 that I've got to paint. This foot kind of got a little goofed up somewhere along the line, either taking the rafters off or in the process of printing it maybe, but I'll just put a rock or something there, cover it up when we're basing this puppy. Has been a challenge though when I'm making these. The scale is all over the place on these. Or it imports into Cure and it thinks it's a 2 centimeter tall figure or something, and you gotta kind of do your best to fudge and guess how tall the base is or how tall you want it to be. These guys aren't huge, but if you're gonna be a swift bandit, you probably don't want to be the gigante giant in the crowd. See if I can do this one a little less sloppy than the other one in terms of not hitting the base as much of this. I'd say about 10 minutes left to go. I'll call her quits for the night. But it's been fun, even if it's just me talking to myself or the rando viewers popping in now and then. Some people talk to think, and some people think to talk, meaning some people need to think about stuff before they say their words. Some people, they just start talking. And that's where you get phrases like, hey, I'm just thinking out loud here. And that's what they're doing. And sometimes I think I can be this way. It's situational, depending on who's in the audience, who's listening, how much you trust the people, how much you have confidence in your own words. Sometimes you just go ahead and say it. Sometimes you need to save it. And God give us the grace to know the difference between the two. Nice. 5 boots out of the 20 we're painting. Nothing's stopping us now. Getting faster. This ones haven't been too sloppy. Keeping the base clean, although it will probably end up with a brown texture. Dirt road. Maybe I'll do some of that spackle, not joint compound, but wall filler stuff. Kind of give it a little swirly sort of feel. Or I know this DM Scotty has recommended for years is the modeling paste. You kind of get this texture from that paste. Throw on another one. Keep them coming. Come on now. Boot number 7. Getting there. Colors look pretty consistent. The one guy here, he's still drying a little bit, but not bad. I wonder, I should probably throw like just a white background instead of this matte on my next broadcast. Might be a little easier to see what the heck is going on. I think I'll do that next time. See if I can just use my finger. Nope. See if I can use this brush. Sorta. There, I cleaned it up. Cleaned it up just a little bit. That boot is close. I do like the leather color. Again, just fudged it quick. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't know if I ever finished the thought. Desktop Hero 3D. Desktop Hero 3D. You can design for free your own characters to use and print on your 3D printer fantasy figures and all sorts of cool customizable settings. Not perfect, but the price is right. And for example, I needed just a random set of commoners, teenager. Here we go. Teenage boy, teenage girl, the mom. Mom's the tallest. The other one's a little shorter, a little bit different styles, but use similar faces and stuff. And it was awesome because for free, just in general, it was tough to find that specific thing. But take about 5-10 minutes, and I have now designed and have a custom figure that is just what I was looking for. With that, 55 minutes in, what the heck? We'll give it a full hour. I'm not going to skimp out on you. You thought I was going to cut off the broadcast. You thought wrong. Not when we hit boot number 9. We're almost halfway through the boots. We can do it. Boot number 9. This is a little bit of wispy. It's okay, though. Some of this will just kind of naturally blend in or something. Look like there's hair all over it. I don't know. Some people's houses I've gamed in, that is what everything looked like. All right. Boot number 9. Boot 10. Here we go. Ooh, that one went a little high. That's okay. It'll all sort of blend in, go under a wash. Here we go. Plugging and chugging, as my physics teacher used to say. I'll tell you when I get off the air, though, I'm going to take a stretch break. There's a lot of hunching. I don't know if there's any way around it. Maybe people stand and paint these like with a standing desk. I don't know. Probably could. But I like to sit. I think I'm going to go off air. I'm going to throw on my favorite show, Star Trek The Next Generation, where I don't even have to look at the screen. I've seen the episode so many times. I can just kind of listen and know what's going down. Here we go. This one's a little thicker, but it'll all tighten up as it dries. All right, that works for me on that one. Just a little over 2 minutes left. I'll leave you. I hope that if you're watching this and you're hanging out, that you're doing all right, that you are finding recreation or recreation through your time hobbying. No, it does for me. And it's ends up giving me energy and creativity and ideas in other areas of my life when I take the time to hobby. But you've got to prioritize it. You've got to kind of fight for it. Sometimes you got to say, you know what, it's okay. I need to watch my kids grow up tonight. I'm not going to get to it. There have been a lot of times where just needed to go on the back burner. But that's okay, because you can always come back to it. That's what's great about this type of hobby. There are very few situations where you would have no option left to participate in some form in either the sport side of it or the hobby side of it. In fact, even if you are facing certain challenges, the mental and physical and precision that some of the aspects involve actually can be very healing and therapeutic, I would say. About 20 seconds left. To anybody watching, to the viewers, I appreciate the support over the years, the encouragement, the outlet that having a channel like this has given me. and I hope you can find the same thing along your journey of life.